Kyle, have you ever been to a gambling establishment?
Yes, I have. I went on a road trip a long, long time ago with some friends, and we stopped in Vegas for a day. And we went to what's the big hotel that
So
there's
many,
a bunch.
Kyle.
I know. We were in one of the big hotels, and it's just crazy there that the hotels have casinos in them.
Yeah.
And it was just like, wow, they're smoking inside, and
Wow.
all these people are losing their money and drinking weak alcohol, and this is what it's like to be at a casino.
Did you do any of the gambling?
I did. I gave myself a limit of $20.
That's
if I
fair.
lost that $20, I wasn't going to end. Boy, howdy, did I lose that $20 pretty quick.
Yeah, but I think that's a good way to go about it. Just decide, this is the amount of money that I'm willing to lose. I'm going to go have fun for a hot minute, and then I'll be done.
Yeah, absolutely. My friend won $100 with his $20, and then spent it all. And I was like, just stop here. Just stop. You've got $100.
It's free money anyway. We're having fun.
At the $60 mark, this stops being fun and it starts being stressful.
Welcome to Butter No Parsnips. Every week on Butter No Parsnips, your hosts Emily Moyers and Kyle Imperator take you on an adventure through the weird, wacky, wonderful, and sometimes even wicked world of one wayside word. Strange characters, delightful bits, and general joyousness abound. Join them as they test each other's etymological expertise.
Hey everybody, welcome to Butter No Parsnips. I'm Kyle Imperator.
And I'm Emily Moyers. And Kyle, I got a good word today.
Oh, I bet you do. Lay it on me, Em.
All right. The good word.
How much
do
how much is this going to cost me is the question.
I mean, it'll cost some, but you might get it back at the end.
Yeah, that's good.
The word I have, you might know it, we'll see, is bunco. B-U-N-C-O or B-U-N-K-O. I think C-O is more common, but both are used.
Oh, I feel like I might know this. I'm going to take an educated guess later, but I'm going to ask questions first.
Okay.
Bunco or bunco. Okay, I love this word. It's such a fun word.
It's got a good sound.
This is an organization that sells hamburger buns, right?
Bunco, yes.
Bunco,
that's if there's a space in it and a dot after the O. Yes.
Yeah. Bunco. Or just what Cinnabon was originally.
Yes. Before they started adding cinnamon.
Yeah.
We're a very
just
unsuccessful company called Bunco.
What can we put in this spiral?
There wasn't even icing. Nothing.
Bunco. Okay, I mean, this is a crazy question.
Okay.
But is something that you yell?
It can be. That's not one of the definitions that we're going to talk about. It is primarily a noun, can be used adjectively, with other, as part of a compound noun, or it can be a verb.
To bunco. Oh, Emily, why do you always got the weird verbs?
I feel like we do a lot of nouns because it's just here's a weird thing.
Yeah.
But a verb is this is a weird word.
It's a weird word. Is this Italian, Latin origin? French?
The language of origin is Spanish, but the word formed in American English slang.
In American English slang.
Yeah.
That's where all the casinos be. Okay. Huh. I'm going to take a guess.
Okay.
Right? And then my guess is bunco. See, I feel like I've heard it as bunco before, but I may be just thinking of a different word.
We'll talk about it.
Okay, so I think bunco is like jackpot.
Oh, you yell bunco!
Yeah. Like you won the jackpot. To win the jackpot is to bunco.
So what I will say is that bunco, separate from the word, or related to the word, is a game. And in that game, I think you can yell bunco when something good happens.
Oh, fun.
But it also is a word that has a related but different definition.
I'm going to need a second hint then.
Okay, the hint I have for you is confidence.
Confidence?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it like confidence game? Like cheating? Oh, is bunco like card counting?
I will give you partial credit, Kyle.
Oh,
so
okay. Cool.
bunco as a noun can mean a swindle or confidence trick. And as a verb, it can mean to swindle or to cheat.
Wow, I love this. I mean, this is like, that sounds like cheating, like swindling.
Yeah, buncoing.
I please, I need to know more about the buncoers. The
Absolutely.
Buncoists.
Bunco men or bunco thieves.
Bunco men.
We'll talk about
Bunco thieves.
So the word bunco,
Mhm.
as it's used in American English slang, came about in the 1800s, but it evolved from the Spanish banca, B-A-N-C-A. Do you know that word in Spanish, Kyle?
I mean, does it just mean bank?
It does. It
Yeah.
is. It literally means bank or banking, but in this case, it's specifically in reference to the role in a gambling game, usually a card game, that is the bank or the banker or the house or the dealer,
Oh. Yeah. That
like the
makes
person
sense.
running the game.
The guy in the little suit with
The waistcoat, yeah.
with the waistcoat and maybe a visor and
Yeah. I feel like you're
And a stern
conflating
look.
a dealer and an accountant.
and sometimes they quit their job to become a Broadway producer of flops. Yeah, we're talking about the
Very
same
specific accountant.
thing.
So there is like a family of gambling games, a type of gambling game, which is very popular in Europe around the 16, 17, 1800s, which all revolve around players making bets to be paid out by a banker, who's like a person at the table. Typically in these games, everyone is playing against the banker individually, meaning if there are 3 players plus the banker, any or all or none of those 3 players could win money.
Interesting. Okay.
Unrelated to each other.
Like blackjack.
Kyle, I was just going to say, can you think of any games that fit this description? Blackjack is the best modern example.
I used to watch World Championship Poker long time ago.
What's that got to do with blackjack, buddy?
I'm a pro, I'm a pro poker player, a proker. Al Proker is what they used to call me.
Yeah, they sure did. So yeah, blackjack does basically fit this model to a T, except maybe that blackjack has some strategy involved in it, whereas it seems like a lot of these banking games were truly, you were just betting on chance. There was no game.
Interesting. So it's like a betting market, but in person and cooperative.
Kind of. So just to give a quick note on blackjack, the version of blackjack that's played today came about in America in the late 1800s, but it evolved out of a nearly identical banker game called 21 or 21.
21.
Which was goes back to like the 17th century France and England.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. I would never have guessed that blackjack was French, but
well, blackjack is not. It's very similar to 21, but blackjack was part of the American casino scene, which we'll get to.
We're going to the casino.
We will get to it. By which I mean we're going to leave where we are and go there. But another very popular banker game in the 1800s was a Spanish game called Banca or Monte, or in English, Monty, or sometimes Monty Bank, 2 words.
Monty Bank. Not like Mountebank?
So this game was sometimes called Mountebank, which like one word, Mounte bank. That word has an unrelated etymology and was just applied to this game.
Yeah, Mountebank is like a Canadian Mountie, right? It's like one of those.
No. Mountebank comes from an Italian phrase that means like climbing up onto a bench, and it's someone who's like hawking goods, like they're climbing up on a bench like to shout like, here's my miracle cure.
Wow.
Yeah, so it also means a swindler, but from a different origin.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, crazy. And I think this game can be called Mountebank, but from a completely different route. Do you know what Monte means in Spanish, Kyle? You can probably guess this one too.
I was going to guess mountain.
Yeah.
It means mountain?
Yes. Again, it literally means mountain, but it can also mean heap or stack, like a stack of cards.
A stack of cards with a bank.
With a bank. Yeah. There are a lot of variations on this game, all with slightly different rules. The version which seems to have been the most popular in the States is referred to as Spanish Monty. I'll give you a quick rundown here. Unless you want to talk about the man that is Spanish Monty.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great guy, you know? He's always walking around being like, "Hey, Kyle, what can I get you? It's me, Spanish Monty." And I'm like, "Monty, I only know one Monty. This is a weird way to delineate yourself from other Montys you think exist in my life."
I like that he's coming up to you and saying, "Hey, Kyle, what can I get you?" Like he works at a New York deli, but on the street, like he just goes around to people.
I mean, he's just a nice guy, you know?
So Spanish Monty, the game is played with a 40-card deck, which could be a specially made Monty deck with like different faces and numbers, or a standard playing card deck with the 8s, 9s, and 10s removed, so that you have 40 cards left.
Weird ones to take out, but
yeah,
okay.
I don't really get it. But again, there are different variations. You could really take out any 3 ranks. The dealer or bank places the stack of cards, or Monty, in front of them, along with all of the money they're willing to risk over the course of the game. They're saying, this is the bank pool, you can see it. They flip the bottom 2 cards from the Monty, and that becomes the bottom layout. Those 2 cards are face up. And then they flip the top 2 cards from the Monty. Those are face up as the top layout. The players, which are called the punters, place their bets on either the top or the bottom, and then the dealer flips another card.
This sounds made up, just so you know.
Yes, it's crazy.
Okay.
Then the dealer flips another card, which is called the gate card, from the top. Any layout with a card that matches the suit of the gate card wins. And the punter...
Just straight up wins
that round. So the punter gets like the money they bet and that again. They get like a 1-for-1.
So wait, the punter is putting out, what cards are they putting out?
They're putting out money. The punters don't even have cards. The dealer's the only one flipping cards.
Oh my God. So it's just literally, yeah.
Just, I'm going to bet that one of these 2 cards will match the suit of the gate card.
Oh, so they have to pick the top or bottom.
The top or bottom, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there are versions where there's only 1 card on the top and bottom. There are versions where you have to match the rank instead of the suit. The rank being the number. And there's a million different ways to play this game. This is the version that I think had the most legs. And so any layout with a card that matches, the punters get paid, and any layout without, the dealer just takes those bets. It's basically like betting on horses, but they're cards.
Yeah, it's like betting on horses, but quicker and less fun.
Yeah, or it's like roulette, kind of, but with fewer options.
Kind of like roulette, but with it's like roulette, but with 2 options.
Like roulette if they flipped a coin.
Yeah, and an option where it might not land on anything.
Yes. Yeah, that's the thing, because like both layouts could win if they both have the suit, or neither layout could win and the dealer takes all the money.
It's just like a good way to lose money. Like, why would you play this game?
I think it was just that everyone in the 1800s was a gambling addict.
And they were like, what's the next best thing? I got it. Monty Bank.
What's the next weird arrangement of things we can do to bet on? Yeah, so this game originated in Spain, was brought to Mexico via imperialism, became very popular.
As many things are.
Absolutely. Became very popular in Mexico, and then in the 1840s, it spread to the American Southwest via the Mexican-American War.
Which is how most gambling travels, through war.
Via war, yes. Yeah. But it also became very popular in the American Southwest. So spread for the worst of reasons, but everybody loved it.
Same like syphilis. Spread for the worst of reasons, but everybody loved it.
Everybody loved syphilis. That's the one thing you can say for it.
If you can say one thing, it's that.
The name Monty took on a life of its own as well, being applied to other card games that were some similar, some not. Probably. Yeah. Wait, does it sound familiar?
It does sound familiar.
Have you perhaps
But maybe I'm thinking of the full Monty.
Sure. Have you perhaps heard of 3-card Monty?
Yes. Oh my gosh. No, I've played this.
You've played 3. Oh my God. How much did you lose?
No, my dad likes to play poker every now and then, and we've played Monty. I can't remember the rules at all, but we
might not be talking about the same Monty then.
Why?
So 3-card Monty is a variation of the shell game, which is yeah. So
Like
the shell
with-
game, super duper old. That's like 3 shells. One of them has like a pearl under or whatever. You mix them up. 3-card Monty is you have 3 cards. One of them is different than the other 2. Usually it's a queen, and you mix up the cards, and the person has to find the queen.
I've never played that.
I was
Thank
gonna
you for
say,
clarifying.
That's crazy. If you've played that, Kyle, who lured you in on a street corner?
Yeah, I'll pay you $100,000. I can get this right there.
And that is the thing. The 3-card Monty is generally regarded as a vehicle for swindling.
That makes
Speaking of
sense.
swindling, Kyle, have I talked about the actual word bunco yet?
No. I mean, a little bit.
Yeah, it feels like we should get back to that, huh?
Yeah, let's talk about Bunco.
So, as I said, the word bunco derived from that card game, Montebank. But I mentioned earlier, there is a game bunco.
Yes.
That game is not a card game. It's a dice game.
Of course not. Yes, of course. I mean, dice are just the cards in the 4th dimension.
That's right. The 4th dimension.
Yeah, I skipped one. There's time involved, you got to roll it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the game bunco was another one which got its start in Europe in the 1700s and made its way to the southwestern US. It was known in England as 8-dice cloth. I can't tell you why it's called that because there were almost no descriptions of this game anywhere.
Yeah, of course.
We have no idea what this game was. The
last person to play that game died 400 years ago.
Well, the last person to play that game, I think, brought it to the United States in the hopes of becoming rich off the backs of unwitting Americans.
Yep.
The only partial description I could find was from an 1886 book called Professional Criminals of America by Thomas Burns. Like Montebank, this game seems to have revolved around players betting on a random outcome. But as Burns described it, this one seems like it was even more like roulette. He describes a layout of 43 spaces that players can bet on.
Oh my god, it's like Magic the Gathering with playing cards.
Yeah. Some spaces returned different cash amounts, some triggered a double or nothing bet, and of course, one blank space which returns nothing.
It's like Scrabble, but with playing cards.
Well, but I'm picturing like I don't know if this is accurate at all, but I'm picturing it like a roulette wheel. Like there's just slots all around where you can bet your money.
Are they like rolling the dice to see where it lands? How are the cards getting picked?
I guess all the spaces have different like dice outcomes.
Okay. Oh, so there's it's like
I don't really
math
get it.
involved too.
Like I said, there's no real like thorough description of what this game was. So I don't even know if that's real.
Probably because it sucked.
Well, it didn't, because it was extremely popular in France and England. And then, as I said, someone brought it to the US in the 1850s, likely because of its similarity to Montebank. In America, this game was called Banco, B-A-N-C-O, initially, or Banco. I assume Americans pronounced it Banco.
Probably.
And that later evolved into Bunco. I assume just because it got like slurred over time.
Yep.
But here's the thing, and here's where we get to the heart of it, because by the time they reached the United States, both Monty and Banco were well-known confidence games.
So they were known by Americans to be confidence games.
Not by Americans, and that's probably why they were brought to America.
Gotcha.
Because people in the other countries has caught wise.
We gotta find a new home for our game.
New marks.
Yeah.
Kyle, do you know what I mean when I say confidence game? I feel like that's a term not everybody would know.
Yeah, like a trust fall. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, confidence game. I mean, I don't know where it comes from. I guess the idea is that you're placing confidence in someone who you shouldn't be placing confidence in.
Perfect. Exactly it, Kyle. Yeah. And it is what con is short for.
Confidence man. Yep.
So in the card and dice games that we're talking about today, players are asked to put their confidence in the idea of even odds or random chance, when in fact the person opposite them is well-versed in sleight of hand or some other method of rigging the game, and chance never enters into it.
That's why I don't bet on magicians.
Yeah.
Because, they got something up their sleeve.
They literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
In the mid-1800s, games like this were rampant in the American Southwest, especially in the city of San Francisco, California. Kyle,
SF.
was anything special happening in California in the mid-1800s?
Mid-1800s. The gold rush?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was the gold rush. Wow.
it was. And that meant that in the American Southwest, particularly California, particularly San Francisco, there was an influx of people who were, one, wanting to get rich quick and ready to believe in their chance of getting that goal, and two, possibly flush with gold that they've just found and were willing to risk, the same way your friend was willing to put down his $100 because he just got it.
You know, I always knew that I'd experience my own gold rush.
Yeah. So as much as prospectors flocked to the area in this time, so did con artists and card sharps.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, it only stands to reason, you know?
Yeah. Rigged card and dice games became a very common sight, and Banco was such a popular one that the term Banco, which again later became Bunco, widened out to refer to any type of swindle. And likewise, Bancoing referred to swindling, which is how we get to our words for today.
I mean, that is great. I love that. Like, what a great lineage to get to Bunco, which is also just like one of the most perfectly constructed words in the world.
Yep. The book I quoted earlier, Professional Criminals of America, has a chapter titled Confidence and Banco Men. The terms Banco Men, Banco Operators, and Banco Thieves were all used to mean swindlers.
Wow.
Yep. In that chapter, Burns describes various cons by which Banco thieves were, quote, helping themselves to other people's money. A lot of them he seems to talk about like teams of like the guy who will like steer your mark towards you, or the guy that'll get his name quickly in passing so that you can use it to trick him, and all these line
it's
out
like
all
the
these
movies.
Cons. Yeah, truly, it's like an episode of Leverage.
Yeah.
He also writes, quote, Banco men seem to take a fiendish delight in outwitting men illustrious in all walks of life.
Oh.
Burns's point is borne out by the famous Banco thief Hungry Joe, who was famed for having purportedly taken thousands of dollars from playwright Oscar Wilde, though Wilde himself never admitted it.
Wow.
Yep.
Interesting. That's fun because it must be true, because like that is exactly the kind of thing a swindler would honestly tell people, you know, that person would not want to find out.
Yeah. And this was why a lot of Banco thieves were able to get as far as they could, and probably why con artists still can today. It's because the people who have been tricked don't want to say so. Kyle, important question here. If you were an Old West criminal like Hungry Joe, what would your name be?
My name would be... I was going to say Stinky Pete, but that's a different...
That's taken.
That's a prospector of a different sort. My name would be Funky Craig.
It's not your name?
No, of course not. I got to use a pseudonym, Emily.
Okay. Any ideas for me and maybe our producer, Seth?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Emily, your name would be Pizza Joanne, and Seth's would be The Marvelous Miss Maisel.
And she is marvelous.
She is marvelous.
There we go, everybody. The Parsnip Kids. Look out.
Worst version of the Butch Cassidy crew ever.
Wait, you telling me if you hear the phrase, the Parsnip Kids are riding into town, that doesn't strike fear into your heart?
Pizza Joanne,
the most frightening criminal you've ever heard of.
I like, the meal Steak Diane. Pizza Joanne is that.
Here's the thing, Kyle. You said Pizza Joanne, which is really just so few letters away from Pizza John. Which is already a thing.
What's Pizza John?
We don't have time to answer that question, Kyle.
I could have called you Papa Joanne. Though that would be even more pizza related somehow. So
in addition to Bunco thieves, there were also Bunco parlors. That term could be used to refer to places where Bunco was played, or any gambling establishment, Or perhaps amongst a more knowing crowd, a fraudulent gambling establishment.
Sure.
The kind you don't want to go into, as opposed to all the gambling establishments that are completely on the up and up.
That guy's above water. We're going to go there. But that guy, that's a bunco parlor.
That's a bunco parlor.
Pizza Joanne deals there.
That's right. The marvelous Mrs. Maisel is handing out the drinks.
No, not Mrs. Maisel. Miss Maisel.
I'm so sorry. You're absolutely right.
Pizza Joanne is like just a lunch lady. You know?
But for dealing, but she deals with the attitude of a lunch lady.
Yeah, she wears a hairnet, you know, she'll give you an extra slice.
And she flops the cards down like she's slapping it.
Here's a chocolate milk. Don't tell your friends, all right? I like you. You need to eat.
Here's a whiskey rocks.
Whiskey rocks. And she gives the cards out on a ladle with slop.
Yes, she does. Yes, but seriously, you do owe $215. And
you just sent a letter to my parents.
That's $215 with the gambling debt you've racked up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Kyle, bunco parlors weren't just in San Francisco. Both the parlors and the game bunco spread in popularity throughout the country, particularly after the Civil War. As you correctly pointed out, war does tend to be a method of cultural diffusion.
Yeah. We love it.
This is evidenced by an 1875 article in the Chicago Tribune warning readers of a swindler on the run, saying, quote, "The fugitive is the same person who buncoed a stranger out of $75 recently."
I love that $75 was a lot of money back then.
Something like $2,022.50, according to my very quick Google.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of money.
That's
a lot of money to be buncoed out of.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I was reading all these 1800 articles, and they were talking about people losing hundreds or thousands of dollars. And it's like,
dear Lord.
Good God. One of them, it said a bunco thief over the course of his lifetime purportedly racked up $1 million in the 1800s. I don't even want to think about how much that is.
What did he do with that money that didn't get him caught? Because, at some point, someone's got to be like, how did you get that mansion, Joe?
Why does Slippery Joe have whatever the horse and buggy equivalent of a Corvette is?
Penguin Pete has a bowling alley in the basement of his apartment. I don't understand how that happened. Of his chateau.
Chicago, of course, another hotbed for gambling, famously.
What? Chicago?
Kyle, don't you remember when we watched Dick Tracy? We went in two different directions.
But both equally about gamblers.
Yes. So while the popularity of bunco parlors might have fallen a little bit around the turn of the 20th century, it did see a resurgence in the culture of back alley drinking, gambling, and other crime of the Prohibition era in places like Chicago.
That makes sense.
In the 1920s,
Pizza Joanne would have been a prohibitionist, just saying.
Yes, she did. She ran a speakeasy for sure.
Yeah.
So the only speakeasy that served pizza.
Served pizza instead of booze.
It was like boozy pizza.
Yeah. I made this pizza in my bathtub. Joanne, I don't think I'm going to come back.
You're my only regular. I need you.
Joanne, no one else is here.
No one else knows the code. They never even ask. In the 1920s and early 30s, the dice game bunco was a popular sight in speakeasies and other underground bars, and the police squads dedicated to raiding these drinking and gambling establishments were called bunco squads.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
They should have called them Bunco Busters, though.
Bunco Busters would have been better. Should we go back and let them know?
We should go back in time
1926.
And let them know. It is a fourth dimensional game, right?
Yes, it is. It is, absolutely. One last topic here, Kyle, real quick. I should note that Bunco, the game, did evolve into something different than the roulette table I described earlier. I was having trouble sussing out when the gameplay shifted, whether it was during that initial boom in the 1800s or during its popularity in the Prohibition era or leading up to its more recent play, which we'll talk about in 1 second. Regardless, it seems to have evolved into something sort of resembling Yahtzee, but less fun.
Okay. Yahtzee isn't fun to begin with, so
Yahtzee is fun, Kyle. Wow, I won't take this.
I guess. I mean, I haven't played Yahtzee in a long time.
I remember loving it a lot, but this sounds worse. The game is played in 6 rounds. When it's your turn, you roll 3 dice. You get a point for every die that matches the round number. If all 3 of your dice match each other, regardless of the number, you get 5 points. If all 3 of your dice match the round number, you get 21 points. That's when you shout Bunco.
Sure.
That's called
okay,
Bunco.
that sounds fun. Wow. It's fun that it's 21, like Blackjack.
It is. That didn't occur to me. I bet there's a reason. If you score any points on your roll, you can go again and keep going until you have a roll that scores no points. You keep going around the table until someone gets a total of 21 points, which you would do immediately if you got a Bunco. And that marks the end of the round. And the highest score wins that round, and the person or team who has won the most rounds wins the game.
Gotcha. You said team.
Yes. In its purest form, Bunco is played with 12 people across 3 tables with 2 teams of 2 at each table.
What do you need a team for?
That's just how they play it. Because you do like a tournament over the course of a night, so you like switch up and move around. There's a lot. I didn't want to get into it.
I don't have enough friends to play Bunco.
Like, seriously and truly. Who?
That's a lot.
But if you want tips on how to make this happen, the World Bunco Association's website has rules and recommendations for how to handle different numbers of people, how to make a tournament or a party or a club out of it. They recommend that you serve snacks and drinks before playing.
Of course they do.
They
probably
section
have
for
Bunco
that.
brand snacks and drinks. You're telling me that Bunco is still played? There's a live website for a Bunco Association?
Kyle.
Don't they know that game is associated with swindling?
Well, so what I just described, those are the modern rules. There may have been some alternate iteration of that which better fostered gambling, because I can't see how you would gamble on this version other than to bet on who's going to win, or maybe you bet round by round. I don't know. But by the late 20th century, at the latest, Bunco had become just a simple parlor game, innocent and family friendly. It saw a little bump in popularity in the 1980s, in that sort of age of family values, and an even bigger return to popularity in the 21st century. That's right, now.
Okay, what? Like in the past 25 years?
Yeah, partially as a children's and family game, but much more so as a form of socializing for suburban women.
I'm stunned, frankly.
There are loads of groups of predominantly women across the nation having monthly Bunco nights or Bunco parties, and that's just their social event on the calendar.
It's kind of beautiful when you think about it, you know?
It is.
I think I'm going to try and get our public library to start a Bunco night.
It seems like it's basically just like a passive activity that you could do to foster conversation and drinking.
Oh,
it's apparently
maybe not at the library.
Yeah, it's apparently been referred to as, quote, the housewife's drinking game.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Oof.
there's a sort of like there's an anti-feminist layer of it.
It's a little more insidious than it seems.
Yeah, I feel like you can look at it from both ends, because it is like, there's a really good Washington Post article about it from 2007 by Michael Allison Chandler, writing about a particular group of suburban women who meet up every month to do this. They're like moms, and they're like, this is my night off from being a mom, and I feel like I can get through life because I do this every month. And like, that's a very good thing. I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum.
Absolutely not, yeah.
I just want to make sure that they all know there are more fun games out there, but like, if they're having a good time, that's fine.
Play Jackbox.
Like, seriously, there's other stuff you can do. I just want to make sure you know the options that are there for you. But if you're content, then that's fine.
That's fine.
To quote from that Washington Post article, their mothers had bridge. Today's moms have a dice game called Bunco.
Wow, beautiful. Succinct.
And now, Kyle, you and I have a word called Bunco, and I'm wondering if you can use it in a sentence.
Of course I can, Emily. Of course I can. Emily, I'd say when I went to Las Vegas, my main concern was being buncoed. And so I had less fun than I would have had I not been worrying about it. But my friend had a lot of fun and was buncoed out of all his money.
Delightful, Kyle. And I'm sorry to hear that.
Emily, what a great word. So many characters involved in this. There's a real personality to the word bunco.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that the game that we're going to play today is gambling related.
In a roundabout way, sure. Let's play a game. Kyle, today's game is called According to Hoyle.
Hoyle?
Yeah, that's the game guy. If you want to know how to play a game, Hoyle's your man.
Oh, okay. All right.
Kyle, we've talked about how Bunco evolved out of earlier card and dice games. I also mentioned how Blackjack came from 21. So it might not come as a surprise that many games we know and love today have earlier iterations going back centuries. For this minigame, I'm going to give you the historical name, and I want you to guess the modern game that it evolved into.
Okay. This is fun. Cool. Yes.
I promise there are all ones that you know.
Okay.
The name Patience in fact refers to a genre of games which revolve around arranging cards. There are games for multiple players, but Patience notably includes a smaller genre of decidedly lonelier games.
Wow, what a great hint. Solitaire.
Solitaire. You got it. Yeah. So I think technically Patience is not historical. It's just like the wider category that Solitaire is in. The next one, the ultimate ancestor to this game was likely a 17th century Iranian, at the time Persian, game called Aznaz, hyphenated, but the modern American game probably more directly descended from a French game called Poque, or Poque, P-O-Q-U-E.
Is it just poker?
It is. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yep. Pretty one-to-one transition linguistically there.
Yeah, but man, Oznaz is so much better.
It is. It has a good sound.
It's like a Willy Wonka candy.
Yeah, and the Oznaz cards look way cooler. The Iranian cards, they're very beautiful. You're 2 for 2. Next one, the ancestor of this game was a Mexican game called Con Quien. The name is thought to derive from the Spanish question, ¿con quién?, or with whom, due to the fact that all of one's cards must be grouped with others.
There's probably a really obvious answer here that I'm missing.
This is a lesser known game, but it's one in which you have to arrange all of your cards into sets or runs.
I mean, I'm thinking like Rummy, but that's not.
That's it.
Oh, it's Rummy. Oh. Yeah. I thought the question was involved in it. Oh, wow.
No.
I'm so glad I got it.
But I love Rummy. It's with whom, because you have to match all your cards together.
Oh, what? Actually, it's such a cute name for it.
Yeah,
I love that.
The last one I have, Kyle, the French and English dice game Hazard gave way to this modern iteration in New Orleans. It either gets its name from the word crabs, which was slang for a bad dice roll in this game, or from the French word crapaud, which of course we all know means toad.
Toad.
Because of how people used to squat to play dice games in the street. They looked like toads.
Such a good, possibly made up reason, but I love it.
It feels like a like a folk etymology, but it's fun.
It really does. Yeah. This is craps.
It's craps. You got it.
Oh, that's so good, Emily.
It is so good. Also, you might be thinking that the original dice game Hazard is named that in reference to the word hazard. You would be incorrect because it's the other way around.
I'm sorry. We get hazard, like danger from the game?
Yep. Like, that's or to hazard insane. A guess, to risk a guess. Yep.
Because it's risk, because it's gambling.
Yep, you got it.
Wow.
We get the word from the game, and we don't even know where the name of the game comes from, for certain.
Of course we don't. Because what a crazy alien word that is.
Possibly came from the Spanish azar, meaning a bad dice roll, and that's possibly from the Arabic azar, meaning dice, but every explanation I read of that was like, we don't know, though.
Yeah.
We're very unsure.
Yeah. Emily, beautiful episode. For all of those at home, remember that you can watch us on YouTube at Butter No Parsnips, and you can find Butter No Parsnips on other social media, Facebook and Instagram at Butter No Parsnips Podcast, and TikTok at Butter No Parsnips. And if you liked today's episode, consider giving us a 5-star rating or review wherever you heard us.
And if you really liked today's episode, consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/butternoparsnips. Donating $5 or more gets you exclusive access to Buttered Parsnips, our after-hours podcast.
Thanks so much to all of you. You help us make what we make.
And with that, I've been Emily Moyers.
And I've been Kyle Imperator, and this has been Butter No Parsnips. Bunco No Parsnips.
Butter No Parsnips is produced by Seth Glicksman, Kyle Imperator, and myself, Emily Moyers. The main and accompanying themes were composed by Kyle Imperator.